Candypants Lifestyle Podcast. Interviewing the world's industry leaders on their journey.
Where do we go from here?
Hello, and welcome along to the Candypants Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Nick, and if you're a fan of podcasts hosted by nervous-sounding Geordies, well, you're in exactly the right place. If you've ever been on holiday to Marbella, chances are you would have come across this week's guest. Built like a superhero, his meteoric rise to success has been fairly super too. From street flyer boy to the man mountain behind some of the most iconic venues in Puerto Banus, it's the journey of how a lad from Liverpool became the modern day Mr Marbella. This is the journey of Mr. Phil Savage. So Phil, arguably the original Mr. Marbella, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. So if we go right back to the start, how did you initially get into parties?
I'd love to claim that I was the original, but I wasn't quite the original. There's another generation that came just a little bit before me. So I used to be an engineer by trade. I worked for Unilever. Decided to take a sabbatical from work. So I went to Marbella. I knew Spencer from Liverpool. I went to some of the scintillate parties in Liverpool. Anyway, decided to go to Marbella because it looked like the place to go, and asked Spencer if there was any work going, which he said that there was. And so he took me into consideration, gave me the good news that I could go. The sabbatical from work got green lighted, and I went over. It was never meant to be a career change, but when you see the lifestyle, the money obviously is obviously a big incentive, but just I felt like I could bring something to the table. A lot of people I found back then, it's a little bit different now, it's a lot more competitive, but back then people were there on holiday or for to have some time off for a few months, and I took sort of like a hard work ethic with me, not to blow my own trumpet. So I went over, worked hard, did well, learnt the trade, and then when the time was right, we moved on, parted ways.
So then you went and set up Ultima, is that right? What made you decide to go and do that and set up your own thing?
All right, so I worked for Marcio Spencer. They bought a club called Tibu, which is part of the Lineker's group, which you probably know about. But then we get about halfway into the summer, well, a little bit earlier than that, around June time, and they still hadn't received their late license. So we were still trying to create a party, which we were doing, but earlier on. And we had Pangaea as well. It was a conflict. It was quite difficult. Right. And the owners of Dreamers approached me and asked if I'd help them with the VIP section, which they just kitted out upstairs in Dreamers, called Lola Lounge, which we did. It became iconic. We absolutely smashed it. It was the place to go that summer. And then at the end of the summer, it looked like Tibu got a late license. I did a party there on New Year's for them. And left Lower Lounge. And then the following year, I just sensed there was going to be problems between the Lineker's group wanting me to work at Tibu, and Dreamers wanted me to work there. And I got an offer to work at Funky Butter. And we started with Seven, which is a bar on the back line, right next to the Lineker's actually. But that was great. And we changed the club from a nightclub called Vanity, and I rebranded it. We called it Funky Butter. I spoke with the guys at the time in London who have Funky Butter there, and we decided to do like cross promotions and send each other clients. It worked really well. And we started to bring in acts over. So before that, Dreamers had brought big acts like Swedish House Mafia and David Guetta that no one else was really doing at that point. And so rather than step on Michael, who owns Dreamers' toes, who I respect, and he's a lovely guy and he's been great to me as well over the years, I thought I'd go a different direction, so not to compete with him. And we brought over the likes of 50 Cent and Pharrell Williams, and then a few others. And then since then I've had Tiny Temper, Chris Brown, oh God, the list goes on. Loads. We've had loads. Neo. We've had loads. We had about 4 or 5 every single year for about 6 years, until everybody else starts doing it. And then
what was it like working with some of those people?
Great. I've got some really. I'm from the Wirral in the UK. I used to be an engineer, and then I'm picking 50 Cent from the airport, and I'm meeting Chris Brown, getting off his private jet, and I'm getting to know these guys. I met with Neo. He stayed for a few days. That's how I sold it to him. Like, look, come. this is what we can offer, but what I'll do is I'll put you in this hotel. I'll make sure you're looked after everywhere you go. I'll, wine and dine and basically you have a holiday, because he had a break in between shows.
Right.
So I get to know him, and then me and my missus, before we had the little one, we'd gone to LA, and we were actually eating an STK in LA, and we were sat right next to him. And when we finished, we decided we were getting up to leave, and he was coming back from the toilet, and he's like, "Phil." I'm like, "No way. Does he remember me?" I wasn't going to say anything, but he recognized my name. He's like, Marbella. I said, "That's right, yeah." At the time, he performed in a club called Aquamist. So that was my first nightclub that I had shares in. So I wouldn't call myself the owner. I was the active owner, so like managing partner. So for all intents and purposes, anybody who went there would think that I was the out-and-out owner, but that was with the Sala Group, who have La Sala, Sala Beach. They have a restaurant called Oak and a couple of other things here.
So how did that come about? How did it come about? You ended up thinking, "Oh well, I'm going to be partners in, to be involved in a nightclub rather than just as a promoter."
Yeah, the Sala Group, they were going to buy downstairs from La Sala. There's 3 locales that they're going to buy all of 3 of them and make into a nightclub, but only if I come on board. We went to look at it. La Sala was smashing it at the time. It was an English company, which makes it obviously a lot more relatable being English. And dealing with the owners and stuff like this was a lot easier, and we seemed to be on the same page with what we wanted for the club. So we did it. I moved across. I have to say, I loved Aqua, and it did feel like my first baby. My first project that I managed to sink my teeth into. But I wasn't really given much authority in terms of how the club looked, and it was very like neon style and stainless steel and stuff. I like a little more softer, a little more timeless designs, so and a little more elegant maybe. But we made it work. It was fantastic, and I had 5 years there, and some of the best 5 years that I had, and fortunately managed to get it open for the start of May, and we went from there. It was we had a bumpy start because some things weren't finished in the club. I ended up shutting the club for 2 weeks to make some improvements, and then from there we went from strength to strength.
What was that like for you to kind of go from essentially a promoter on the street to being involved in an actual nightclub in Marbella?
Yeah, it was, again, it's surreal. The whole thing even now is surreal. I have to pinch myself sometimes because don't get me wrong, I love my life. I got a great set of mates back home, and I was skint now. Pardon me, but I was skint. And then to transition from that into this, and then do quite well in a relatively short period of time. I didn't really take stock of it until more recently that I started to realize that, people used to say, "Oh, you're Mr Marbella" and stuff like this. But I sort of shrugged it off. It's not, I've never taken that title.
So after you had Aquamist, where did the whole Plaza thing suddenly come about?
So when I worked with Aqua, they had Sala Beach. And when I've worked with Scintillator over the years, we've worked with Ocean Club and Nikki Beach. Where else have we worked? But they were the main 2 daytime venues that we work with. And I knew that the formula that went into working with a daytime venue. And then I had a full-time promo team. It wasn't just weekends. So 7 days a week, day and night, I'd have a team. So I already had the sort of infrastructure and the promo staff to try and make it work. And obviously they're all hungry to make as much money as possible. So the more shifts that I can give them, the more money everyone makes, including myself. But initially that wasn't how I got into it. So I worked with Sala Beach. They seen the success of Aqua, and then they approached me to do I worked with Aqua, and they approached me about Sala Beach after seeing how well Aqua did. And I said, would I like to work there? We did a deal. It wasn't the best for me, but it covered my costs and it gave my staff more work. Makes me more appealing to work for, which means I get the better staff because I can give better wages. So I was happy with that. And in a way, I saved money because normally I'd be paying for a day team to supplement the night from nighttime money, but this way it paid for the day. So I saved in a sense. I didn't make, but I saved. So we did that. We did Sala Beach, and it was great. Sala Beach is a beautiful venue. The food is amazing. It's got a little pool, and then on the other side of the Paseo, they've got a beach area as well. So it went really well. My friend Mark, who manages Pangea now, he's actually doing Sala Beach, and it's going from strength to strength. It's still doing really well. The numbers are great. So he's done an amazing job there as well, which is brilliant. But we did that for a couple of years, and then Ocean Club made me an offer to be their in-house promotional team. So I took it because I already made commission out of Ocean Club, because I've worked with them for so many years. A lot of people felt comfortable booking Ocean Club with me. Back in the day when I'd be running around with a credit card machine in the middle of nighttime venues, taking people's credit cards for the last remaining bed Saturday night for a spray. Tops, the old manager, would call me. I'd rush down. They'd say, look, we've got 10 beds here left, which we just put out now. We've created more beds. We've put another 6 over here. Phil, can you get them sold? I'd be finishing the Saturday night with pockets full of cash and taking credit card payments, messaging the hostess team, letting them know what beds are available. Don't sell it on the door. Don't sell it on the door. This, and then I'd have to be up first thing in the morning because the people who've been out want to get there first to get to the beds that they've paid a fortune for.
Yeah.
So then I'm having to go so I'd have like 2 hours kip. Those champagne spray weekends used to kill me. But the long and short of it was that we worked for Ocean Club. I had a good rep there, so they made me an offer to go and work for them, which was a little bit better than Salah Beach. So I took the offer. I couldn't not. So I went to Ocean Club and it went really well. But then Plaza Beach used to be great back in the day. It's never been massive capacity, but it's had some great parties when I first arrived back in 2006 and 7. And then it started to die off because a few people left working for them, including Scintillate. So it was just sort of left to its own devices. I think the management that they picked was pretty shoddy as well. And so in the end, it was just sort of ran down. So I went to go and speak with them because, like I said, I love taking on a business that's got a lot of potential but is underutilized. So we went there, and I left Ocean Club because I knew what I could do with Plaza Beach, and I knew the numbers that it could make if I was there, and I knew the money that would mean I would make. So it was now it's like 3-4-fold of what I was making at Ocean Club at the time. So it was a good move in hindsight. So yeah, that was that. We took Plaza Beach, and now I think Plaza has some of the best parties that Marbella has, some of the best daytime parties that Marbella has. It's those champagne spray weekends in Ocean Club is typically on the payday weekend or the bank holidays, and that means a huge influx of tourists from all over Europe, and Plaza kills it.
Do you think Plaza almost gave Marbella back a little bit of something that might have been missing for a while?
Yeah, well, there were daytime parties, but they were more high-end, but they're very expensive. And we did something where it's a party every weekend. We put something on every day of the week, but naturally the weekends are busier. So, and Thursdays are great, but Friday, Saturday, Sundays down at Plaza, you're always guaranteed a good party where you can let your hair down and have some good fun. And as you know, we have Candypants there as well, which is, I absolutely love it. We have Colin Francis down there. So we have brilliant, familiar Marbella faces every single weekend down at the beach, which you've seen for yourself. It does incredible. What
was it then that made you go back into nightclubs and do Mirage? Especially when you'd done one before and how hard.
Yeah, I never left. I was in Aqua, and I was there 5 years. I don't like to stay stagnant. There were things within the Salah group where I maybe could have got involved with, and it hadn't been suggested they'd done it on their own. But then I would have to help after, to help them promo. So they get me for free almost, and because I'm that guy that say, yeah, of course I'll help. And I just sort of felt I was always being overlooked because they could overlook me because I wasn't sticking my neck out. So, but way back, right at the very beginning, me and Justin Juzzy, we couldn't believe that Glam, we couldn't believe how it was underperforming. Justin used to say, we both used to say, I'd love to get our hands on that place and this and the other. But time went on, Justin left the business, and 5 years I was in Aqua for. And then I ended up making the decision to make an offer to the owners of Glam and take it off their hands. So we finally got to an agreement, and that's where Mirage started. I invested everything that I had at the time, everything and more into it. And but fortunately, it's paid off. I think it's beautiful, the club. I think its design should stand the test of time, but we do always reinvest. So even now, we've just sunk a load of money into a refurb, which maybe in hindsight I wouldn't have done. knowing the problems that everyone is encountering at the moment. But it's going to look beautiful, and the work looks incredible. So, and it is an improvement to the venue in terms of its layout, which is a positive. So that's how I'm trying to look at it. We spent the money, but it's going to be money that's going to pay dividends in the end because of how it's going to look and how it's going to space people out as well, which is great. So yeah, but Mirage has gone from strength to strength since we opened. We did everything. I wanted the best of everything. Just like if you open a restaurant, you want the best chef. You open a nightclub, you want the best DJs, you want the best sound system, you want the best visuals. So we've got like a huge CO2 Megatron system. We've got a 10-meter wide high definition video wall. We've got a Function One sound system. We've got everything. The club's got absolutely everything, and we keep adding to it. We've just added a new laser system in there. We've added new robots this winter as well. So when we do open, it's going to be incredible, and those that get to see it are going to be blown away.
Do you know what? You can tell that as well with Mirage. There's a lot of nightclubs that someone spent a lot of money, but because it's dark and because you're in a nightclub, you don't notice it. But I feel like every element of Mirage, you can really see that someone, like, bloody hell, someone's put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah, even down to like the trellis that we put in at certain areas. Even down now, we've just done the toilets as well, and we had these gold slats, but we put tinted mirrors in between the gold slats, and just these small things that some people wouldn't notice. We changed the bar tops. We've done some beautiful underlighting, changed some the LEDs in certain areas to create a slightly different mood for this space. So we keep refining every year and try to keep relevant. I love the brand Mirage. I love the idea. I love its success. What I don't want to do is let it become stagnant, and then in 3, 4, 5 years, it's time to refurb. I'd rather gradually refurb and keep it current and up to date, with what's happening in the industry, and brag about it, that we've done this and we've done that, and it's all good publicity as well as making the place more functional and beautiful. Then let it make its money. 5 years down the line, it looks old hat, and we've lost money essentially as well because people have stopped going. So I'd rather look at it a different way and keep reinvesting so that people are always happy to go there and always happy to see what it looks like. And have you seen this now? And another talking point about what we've done, even if it's to change the service or, special bottles of rum or things like this. Like there's a few Japanese whiskeys and things that we're the only ones to sell. We were the first ones to get in some special tequilas as well. So it's people who know, the high-end clientele that know what they like and will try the best of things. We have that there for them as well. So we cater for everybody. We have our standards. It's not like some of the businesses in the area that you would see. But it's the place that you go to get dressed up. You wear your best clothes that night when you go into Mirage. That's the type of place it is. So, yeah. How
much of a leap was it for you then to obviously open Vudu and bring in kind of a restaurant element as well?
Well, originally, so I work at News Cafe. News Cafe is a bar. So we open News Cafe it's open all day, but it turns into like a nightclub bar from 10 p.m. and it goes on till 3, 4, weekends is 4. So, and it does extremely well. But there's only really News Cafe in Pangaea that cater for that clientele that we would see in Mirage. And Mirage you can fit both of them in no problem inside of Mirage and we still have capacity. So they're coming from somewhere. So myself and Nick, one of the owners of News Cafe, decided that there's capacity for another bar in Puerto Banus. It's because it's what we know. We spoke about doing a restaurant, but we thought less risk would be we open as a bar and it'd be easier to get ready as well. And also as well, because we bought, I think it was like March, it only gave us a couple of months to get it ready. So we had a huge workforce in there. And unfortunately, we only got it ready around I think it was the 21st of June. So it took longer than we expected as well. Cost us more than double what we wanted to invest. But the place looks stunning. It's probably my best looking venue. Arguably, I mean, Mirage is beautiful as well. I can't believe you just said that. Yeah, so they're both beautiful. So yeah, but Vudu, so we opened it and it's so exciting. The terrace is beautiful as well. And it went really well. But we didn't have any build up to do the promo because we bought it so late. We've still had to establish, we need to come up with obviously the name, the branding, the theme and whatever else. So we didn't have a huge build up and get it into people's minds before the summer. So literally we opened and then we were talking about it. So we knew that the first year wasn't going to be phenomenal. But we thought because of its location, it's right next door to Mirage. We thought there's a lot of footfall. The place where all the taxis drop people off to come into Puerto Banus. We'll get them first. When they first come, we offer these fantastic cocktails, and which is something that nobody else is doing. That end of the port, there's only one other place, Astral, which is more of a daytime evening venue. It's not somewhere you go to party.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd combine top end service, beautiful vessels for the cocktails, and like I say, it went really well. But we could have done better. And so we came to August and we sat down, me and Nick. We decided we'll go with our original idea, which was to put a kitchen in. We went through the designs over once we closed in October, and then we got to work. We opened in November after putting in this incredible kitchen with this top end ovens and cookers and things like this, which cost a fortune. But somebody said to me, one of my friends many years ago, was if you want to open the best restaurant, you have the best kitchen staff, but most importantly, the best chef. And so we were very lucky with the chef, and it was ready in November. We decided, even though it was only going to be working with locals, and we couldn't expect like a 7-day-a-week crowd, we decided to open over the winter, knowing that we'd have to invest some money towards wages and things to sustain the business. But it went really well, and extremely well received in Marbella.
What do you think has been the biggest change you've seen in Marbella across all those years you've been there?
I often ask the question, do you think Marbella is as busy as what it used to be? But it has to be more busy. Firstly, I get to see the numbers of the venues. So the money is still there, the clients are still coming, and the turnover of the venues is going up year on year. There's loads of new investment here. Towie also came. Firstly, investment, like I was saying, there's a lot more investment here, and it's a lot more known now. Before, it was like a niche market. So when I heard about it, not many people would know of Marbella unless you really were in the know, and mostly from London, some people from Manchester. You wouldn't really see much else. But now then you have the Towie law, which came over, and they made it a little more mainstream, which is good and bad for the resort. A lot of people would say that it's bad, but it created more footfall, and so businesses would do better, but it maybe brought the level of clientele maybe down from like a 9 to an 8, something like this. But that passed, and now I would say what we're left with is an international resort that gets the best of what's around the entirety of Europe. So we have beautiful people coming from France and Paris. We have beautiful Scandinavian people who love it here. Unfortunately, we have both scenes. So I love Ibiza. It's probably one of my favorite places in the world. So this isn't a knock, but you have to like that. If you go Ibiza, that's what you're into. But here in Marbella, it offers everything. It's house and R&B. It's quite commercial. But there are some clubs that are only house. There are some clubs that are only R&B and hip-hop. And the same with the beach clubs, and same with the bars. So depending on what your taste is, there's a lot more variety. If you love all genres of music, which many of us do, no one's defined by one set of music.
When you actually look back at it, it is almost insane to think that, you kind of started out giving out flyers like a standard PR in Marbella, and now you've got all of this stuff. Like, what's your goal now? Like, what do you want to achieve?
I don't know. I still hand out flyers now. If I see the need to do it and get mucking, don't get me wrong, it's far and few between, but I do it. And sometimes to prove a point to the PR team, like, guys, what are you playing at? Blah, 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 like this. And then I just get stuck in and start moving some bodies myself. But what's my goal? I mean, I've got goals, personal goals. I want a house on the beach at some point, whether it's when I retire, whether it's sooner. But goal is to do things well, keep a good reputation, and be secure for the future. I presume I've got a little boy. He's the love of my life. So, I want to give him a great education. I want to give him, schooling and home life and happy memories for him to grow up. So he's a well-balanced kid. And I would like for him, don't want to be spoiled, but having him not want for something or go through difficult hardships, that's obviously something anyone would choose. And I suppose that's my goal at the moment, is to keep doing what I do, seize opportunities when they arise, work with good people in the industry, such as yourselves, and yeah, see where the journey takes me.
Last one, but if you could make a phone call, right, bear with us. If you could make a phone call back to yourself back in 2006 when you arrived in Marbella, and you could speak to Phil then, what advice would you give him based on what you know now?
Self-confidence, I think. I doubted myself when I was a little bit younger, and now I always do my due diligence when I'm going into a meeting or something like this, but I believe in myself to find solutions to questions that are raised in meetings or disagreements that might happen. So I think I would tell myself to believe in yourself a little bit more. And I'd probably show a picture of my family and say, you're going to be okay, bro. You're going to be okay. Just stay the course. Do you know what I mean?
I think if that Phil could see where you are now and all the things you've achieved, he's going to be blown away.
Yeah, to be honest, I think he would, yeah, because it's a life that some people dream of.
Do you know what, right? Probably the best thing I could say to you is, I mean, that probably hasn't been, maybe 7 or 8 years since I worked in Marbella. Yeah. But from when Drew Jones introduced me to you, to now where, I mean, I live in Dubai most of the time, and the number of times people will mention Marbella and they'll, who do you know, and bring up you. And there is not a person who seems to have a bad word to say about you, which in this industry is actually unbelievable. It's such an achievement in itself.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, mate, thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me.
There you have it, the journey of yet another of the nice guys of nightlife, Mr. Phil Savage. This summer, it's the season we thought might just never happen, but Marbella will be back open for business from July, and it promises to be a summer unlike any other. Don't forget to keep an eye on our social media at Candypants Global for what's on when. We'll be back at both Plaza Beach and Mirage from July 18th. We'll also be back with a podcast next week, speaking to Love Island's very own Amy Hart. But until then, as always, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you all very soon.